Incredible, simply incredible. What can you say? Have you ever seen that before? You couldn't have. You couldn't possibly have ever since they changed the rule after that dramatic World Cup final in seems like a lifetime ago in July 2019. If super overs are tied, you play the super over again. We didn't have an IPL with three super overs in one edition, let alone three in a day. And that's what we've seen now on this Sunday that just refused to end in the Indian Premier League. This is Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. Sanjay Manjrekar, who of course has made a name for himself playing the purest form of cricket, has now the pleasure of discussing something that the cricketing world and the cricketing fraternity has never seen before, Sanjay. A result decided by a tied super over, a subsequent super over, and Kings 11 Punjab, the most dramatic team of this year's tournament, has got two precious points. Just take me through your first thoughts after what you've just witnessed.
One is, it's a bit of a dampener because you've started in a very excited state. But, at the league stage, when you have so many league matches, whether a super over makes sense is one thing. And if not, if the super over gets tied, the first one, maybe we can share points and move on, because sometimes this sport needs a bit of a timer on it. It just sort of drags on for far too long. And T20 cricket cannot be about a game that just drags on. Having said that, it was all, excitement. And I'm really happy for Kings 11 Punjab, because suddenly now they're at number 6. And really, when you watch the full game with Rahul, the way he was batting and the chase was going on, you felt that, they deserved to win that match.
All right, let me go backwards now, right? Because there's so much incident in this game that it's actually hard. Maybe we'll miss out a point or two. We'll try not to. But if we go backwards, let's go with Mayank Agarwal first, right? Not your first, second, or third choice in the initial super overs. He pulls off that extraordinary save of the last ball of the second super over, the first innings of that second super over, and then smashes a couple of boundaries to just seal the deal. Just take me through Mayank first in that second super over.
It's again a matter of confidence, isn't it? This IPL has been great for him. He had a blazing start, and in fact, when he gets going, KL Rahul takes a backseat. So this is a guy who, when he was around under 19 level, 20 years old, he was a bit of a dasher, but then became this, guy who got the big scores. But this game was always there, and all it needed was a little bit of boost of confidence, and that is what has happened this IPL. And he's a very committed, sincere guy. And, when Chris Gale hit that 6, then the stage was set for Mayank Agarwal, because if it was entirely up to him, would have been a bit too much.
Let's talk about two outstanding overs bowled by Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Shami.
Bumrah in the main game as well, 3 wickets, and the wickets of Rahul, Puran, and Mayank. So it was a tremendous effort. And every time you see a threat, Rohit Sharma gives the ball to Bumrah, and like magic, he makes the threat disappear. This time it was Puran, Rahul with that Yorker, and again the super over, brilliant. And then Shami comes in and does the same. So, this shows that Indian cricket has some quality seam bowlers. The other thing that I started wondering is, in the super over, how do people like Shami and, get the act right? Whether, they're cornered so much. And because it's just one over, the focus is so much in that over that he nailed all those Yorkers. And we haven't seen that happen with Shami as much. So funny things happen in the super over. We had Quinton de Kock and Rohit Sharma both trying to play shots that they've never played before. So once it's super over, it's more nerves and less about power and the other things that come along.
Yeah, that's a nice point you make, because it seems like the nerves were more in favor of towards the batsmen. You had Rohit and Quinton playing these laps, KL Rahul trying to play a reverse lap of Jasprit Bumrah, and the bowlers on the other hand, who you think are always under pressure in real time, maybe the pressure is not so much on them in the super over. Maybe it's okay if they don't do well in the super over. The pressure is all on the batsmen, it seems.
Yes, and this is the point I was making when I was talking about keeping wickets intact, like Kings 11 Punjab did against KKR. So the guys who come in at the end, like a Puran in that game, with 6 balls left, a certain score has to be made. And you saw what happened with Rohit Sharma, Quinton de Kock, informed class players. But when you have just one over and you've got to maximize it, it's never easy. So, guys who come in towards the end of the inning, this is what they have to face. And it's always the batsman under pressure. And in a super over, the bowler, he's got the ability. You saw actually when the super over thing starts and the phase starts, you see a lot of smiling faces out there. It's almost like, they've had everything, the main game is gone, and now, the tension has reached a stage where they don't feel it anymore. So there was a lot of smiling and laughing about, and not too many guys out there felt under pressure. The
Yeah.
batsmen were, not so many amongst the other players, especially, the bowlers and the fielders.
What about the choice of the Mumbai Indians to send Ticock and Rohit Sharma for that first super over? Kumar Sangakkara on commentary said, the guys, you should have sent a Pollard and Pandey. They just need to get one boundary away, job done. You send traditional batsmen and they try to do something different. Did you think that was an error?
I thought they sent Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma came with Quinton de Kock because the target was small.
Yes.
If it was a bigger one, then I'm sure Pollard and Hardik Pandya would have come in. And even then, you would maybe, I think this is a lesson for Rohit Sharma, that when you have a super over, you got to look in your batting unit and judge who are the guys who can hit the first ball for a six or maximize six balls. Is it Rohit Sharma, Quinton de Kock, Pollard, or Hardik Pandya? And you would perhaps say Pollard because he does this as regular business. Hardik Pandya, we've seen do this very often. So they would have been ideal choice. But I don't think it was a blunder purely because of the target that they wanted to reach. It wasn't a big one. And it was just about, them playing normal cricket. But the nerves got to both Rohit Sharma and Quinton de Kock for the shots that they attempted.
All right. Let's go to the real-time game now and try and make sense of how this
Which
is actually
happened last night.
super over. Yeah, it feels like an age ago that this has happened.
Yeah.
But it is another case. I'm sure even though Kings 11 have got the points, there would be some kind of discussion on why KL Rahul, as good as he is not able to actually take his team over the line himself.
See, I looked at some stats. In fact, I asked the Cricket Info stats people to send me KL Rahul's chases. And, he's done really well because, sometimes you get a feeling about a batsman that he's not able to finish off things, pretends to sort of the pretender to win the game. And this is what I was looking out for as well, because it was a brilliant innings, not the ones that we've seen in recent past from KL Rahul. The strike rate in the end was 145, 150. And I wanted him to finish the inning, but didn't happen. He tried to, I think, glide that Yorker more than actually defend it. But he's played these kind of innings in the IPL. So he's not one of those guys who cannot chase, just sort of, take it close to the target and the nerves get the better of him and he's not able to finish it. No, KL Rahul isn't that kind of a guy because his track record doesn't say so. Having said that, really happy with the way he batted today. And a lesson learned for Kings 11 Punjab as well. Because when you start trusting the other people, what was really nice to see is that they used up their resources. Maxwell failed, Puran got a few runs, but they found Deepak Hooda. So, if they start trusting their depth a little more, there'll always be somebody who's, the night would belong to him and he would just help his team win. So this thing about conserving wickets, not trusting the rest of the players, I thought today, KL Rahul went with a different mindset. You could see that he was just blazing away right from the start.
Yeah, saw that intent from him. Now, Chris Jordan copped a lot of criticism on social media at the end of that real-time game, but let's leave poor Chris Jordan out. I know where you stand on this pressure and a bowler.
Wasn't he involved with that short run as well? Started the
he was.
IPL.
He was the man involved in the short run, and it was, of course, running around in this situation with the last run needed. But let's take since Kings have won this, we'll give Jordan a get out of jail card.
Let's actually address that point as well, because I feel it's really unfair for a batsman or a player who bats at number 8, 9 and under pressure to be running in that fashion. That was a very small event. And it wasn't the event as to why Kings 11 Punjab didn't win that first super over. So it's a little unfair to pick out Chris Jordan because there were a lot of mistakes made in the whole game. And to pick out a guy who is there in the team for his bowling, for the way he ran, and in a real pressure situation, it's a little unfair.
Fair enough. Now, the other way around, if you look at Mumbai, who actually dropped 2 points and lost another super over, they lost against RCB. They've lost 2 super overs today. If we assess their bowling, 176, was that the kind of score that Mumbai's bowling with the kind of reputation and form it's built should have defended? And is there a case to perhaps just have a look at the support fast bowling for Jasprit Bumrah after today?
See, it's a good thing that you have these kind of sort of reality checks. And they looked really watertight. Their spin department is looking good, and today as well. Once again, Cheher impressed. Kunal, didn't bowl his full quota, but he contributed with the bat. Seam bowling. Last week we were talking about how good their seam bowling is, and it looked even better than last year because Bolt was bowling well and Pattinson was bowling well. But let's look at Bolt as an IPL bowler over the years. He's played for other franchises as well. Other franchises have dropped him too. And my memory, just watching Bolt over the years, I look at Bolt and I see Bolt as a great test bowler, but not as an exceptional T20 bowler. And if you have recordings of what I said right at the start, I felt McClenaghan, having been there and done that for Mumbai Indians, should have been the first choice. But they've gone for Trent Bolt and he did pretty well. But he's one of those guys who is a bit of a gamble and can be vulnerable in a pressure situation. He's just a bit too clean, tries to get in the Yorkers, doesn't get it right. And Coulter-Nile, Pattinson, well, today we saw that Coulter-Nile relies a lot on the slow deliveries. And because of that, he's not able to hit that narrow corridor. So there's always an opportunity on either side for the batsman to score. So if Pattinson is fit, then maybe he should be the choice above Nathan Coulter-Nile. And again, Ronak, it tells you that a batting contribution was made by Coulter-Nile. But if you don't do your first job really well, your team doesn't quite benefit.
All right. Well, that's essentially everything that we have to discuss from this game. But one other theme that's come, from both games today, Sanjay, I'd love your thoughts on it, is this little social media humor and banter. Lockie Ferguson bowled a splendid super over. Trent Bolt on this end. And there's a lot of social media chit-chat on whether Kane Williamson should have gone to Lockie Ferguson in the World Cup final for a super over. 18 months or so on, and we're discussing this. But it's an interesting one, isn't it? Lockie Ferguson, on his first appearance in this year's IPL, shows he's got the skills.
See, we are outside. We can think clinically, and we can look back at what happened and make rational calls. Somebody who's out there who's going to be held responsible in the end for whatever calls he makes. So when it is a pressure situation and there is a lot at stake, you'll always see captains do something that is a little more trustworthy, something dependable, something that they have seen before. So they always err on the side of experience as somebody who's bowled those overs before. But Trent Bolt, I think by now we should know that he has the experience, he's got the class, but he is not your most reliable T20 bowler. And Lockie Ferguson had one, great night today, and that game as well, he bowled well. But this is a venue where the Yorkers, unless you nail them as well as Bumrah does. One quick point on Bumrah is that he also has this luxury, Ronak, if you notice, if he gets his Yorkers wrong, they turn out to be full tosses, and the batsmen are still not able to hit his full tosses, which the other bowlers don't have that luxury. So if they don't get the Yorker right, they go for runs. And that's why I think hit the deck bowlers are doing a lot better. Bumrah does that a lot. We saw Lockie Ferguson, we saw Pattinson do well. Shami, when he hits the deck, does well. So, I think a couple of important lessons for Mumbai Indians. But in the end, Kings 11 Punjab, I'm just happy that they finally won a game and they're up to number 6 now.
Yeah, let's never confuse what a World Cup final and pressure at that stage would be to a league stage IPL game. So, fair point by Sanjay Manjrekar. Thank you very much, Sanjay. This is a game like no other. Let's see if we get to ever discuss this again in this year's tournament. Super overs back to back, but always great having Sanjay. We'll get more of them on the network as we move along. There's a Chennai-Rajasthan game that's technically today now, clock having passed midnight on this Sunday night in India. And Kings 11 Punjab, they've got 2 precious points. The points table still sees them with the mathematical possibility of making the playoffs. They need results going their way, but nothing could give them a bit of a shot in the arm like beating a team like the Mumbai Indians. They've got to beat the Delhi Capitals next if they are to do it in a few days. They play Capitals in Dubai in a couple of days. Mumbai have CSK in 5 days' time at Sharjah. So let's see how both teams respond to this rather unprecedented day. Thanks for watching. Whirlpool presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell.